Terry Tibbs is with us now. What are you saying, Tibbs? Are you there, Tez?
You're okay? Yeah.
Yes,
You're okay?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. What do you make of this news that's just broke?
By the way, you'd make a fantastic English teacher. I'm absolutely made up, to be honest with you. I'm made up, Terry, for 3 reasons. Reason number 1, Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards are by far the best in the business. Don't care what anyone says, don't care who your club's got. Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards are the best in the business. They've just went to Newcastle and said, listen, boys, give Alexander Isak or we'll just take Ekatike off you. It's simple as that. Your choice. Right? And then I've had Newcastle fans, for the last 3 weeks on Twitter calling me delusional, calling me everything under the sun. Isak's not for sale. He's got 3 years left. We're not selling him. Ta-da, mate. Yeah, you know. He's coming to Liverpool. Lad, if we get Isak in this window, this is a generational window. You're talking about Kirkhead, you're talking about Frimpong, you're talking about Wirtz, you're talking about Isak. Come on, man. Lad, I am over the moon with this news.
Yeah, it's genuinely, I hate to say it as a United fan, but I'm as objective as they come. It's fantastic business. It just really is. It's fantastic business on every single level. And I'm not going to lie, I'm jealous. I'm genuinely jealous because I think you're going to get it done. I think you're going to get it over the line. I think Isak will be a Liverpool player, but I felt it for a while now as well, if that makes sense. This has felt like a deal for a long while that was going to happen. This has felt like a deal. And just because it's the patterns you've got to look for. The patterns you've got to look for. The 3 or 4 months of being linked to him, and at no point a top Liverpool journalist shutting it down, which normally happens when your club knows it's impossible or won't spend the money. The fact that every Newcastle update has been don't want to sell, reluctant to sell, would hate to sell, but never categorically not staying. The third element, the player. I love Newcastle. I love the fans. I love it here. Not once said, I can promise you I'm not leaving no matter what. Rightly or wrongly, this triggers some people. When Bruno said he wasn't leaving, he came straight out, made a statement, this is why I'm staying. We knew it was over and probably over for the rest of the summer. Where with Isak, he's just let the rumours fester. And that's why I've always felt there was a good and strong possibility. I'll quote the word again. I've always felt 100% that there was a possibility that this happens. The people saying it won't happen. That's guesswork. What I believe to be true is that it was on, active, and could get over the line. And the fact that you've put them in this like armbar, you basically said, if you want Ekatike, let us have Isak, or we're going to take Ekatike. It seems win-win for you guys.
Satch's just tweeted as well before in the last couple of minutes, and Satch's just basically turned around and said, in June, the Saudis deemed Isak was untouchable and he wasn't for sale. In the last couple of hours, the mindset has changed because they're making progression on Ekatike.
Well, but this is also it, right? And Sasha, I know that some people don't like Sasha Cavalieri, but he's got quite a few things about Liverpool right. There's something he gets things wrong as well. That's it. But I'm not surprised to see this news because I've tried to say this to Newcastle fans all summer. Your club's progression over the next 4 to 5 years to be where you want to be isn't solely reliant on Isak. No club should ever look at itself and go, we're done without one player. If you're really as well run as you think, if the squad builder's as good as you think, one player leaving, as good as he is, for the right money, should never destabilize you. Because with the money coming in, you replace that person with another good player, and you then should be able to add 2 or 3 more. And I think what they're going to do is get 120 plus bonuses, so maybe 150. They're going to buy Ekatike. I think they're going to improve their goalkeeper. I think they're going to improve at centre-back. And I think Newcastle could go into next season, overall, a better and stronger squad than if you guys take Ekatike, what's their next move? Who are they going for next? You know what I mean? So I actually think they'll be in a much stronger position, personally.
I totally agree with you. I think all banter aside and all stuff aside, like you've just highlighted, let's not forget this is a fantastic deal for Newcastle as well, because it creates a situation for Newcastle where they can now go out and spend a stupid amount of money because it's going to show on the books as pure profit. They paid 60 million for Isak, but that's that's all already being paid off. So what they get now on their books is going to be pure profit. So that enables them now to go on again and push for players like, hopefully, Mbeumo. They steal them off United. But do you get what I mean? It's like this opens them up now to go and get 3 or 4 quality players to progress them further. Because let's be honest, Newcastle's midfield is absolutely phenomenal. Of Tonali, Joe Linton, and Bruno, it's one of the best midfields in Europe. If they can build on that with, better players around. Not forgetting as well, one of Newcastle's downfalls, especially in the Champions League, has been depth. They need depth badly. If they want to go on a decent run in the Champions League, they need depth. So it gives them this opportunity now. If they do sell Isak to us, which I'm 80% confident that they do, because in my opinion, we don't approach Newcastle without an okay from the player if he doesn't want to come. I think if he's given us the okay, we've then made the approach to the club, which happens if people say it's tapping up, but it happens in football all the time. You put the feelers out to see if the player would want to come to you, then you make a formal approach to the club. Happens in football all the time. But yeah,
well, you're allowed to do it. You're allowed to do it for intermediaries. The only thing you're not allowed to do is what Spurs are accused of is reveal private and confidential information. But you can, if there's no NDA, an intermediary can do the talking. And I agree. And look, one thing I didn't buy into this whole time is they were going to play with both strikers next year, because that meant dropping one of the midfielders at Newcastle. And dropping one of the midfielders at Newcastle, look, people go on about dominating midfields. Typically speaking, in the Prem, other than the really crap teams, a midfield 3 with good competency on the ball will dominate a midfield that's a midfield 2, even if there's Xavi and Iniesta, because there's one extra player and you can just play triangles around them. So I don't know if Newcastle, in the Premier League era we're in, are ever going to sacrifice the 3-man midfield for a 2-man midfield in the Premier League, because I think that could be disastrous at every level.
I totally, absolutely, totally agree with you. And this thing about the contract situation with Isak, contracts don't mean nothing in football. If the player wants to leave, the club will sell him. It doesn't matter whether he's on a 5-year contract or whether he's on an 8-year contract at Chelsea. If the player wants to leave, the club will not keep a player that does not want to be there. He will go.
100% right, mate. 100%. Listen, Mr. Tibbs, I appreciate you coming on, mate, as always. I really do appreciate your support of the channel.
Joe.
And we'll chat again soon, bro. Thank you. Cheers, though. We're going to take some more calls in just a moment. We've got a few more people backstage that we're going to speak to. This here says, it's just 100% a funny sentence. Just put it in my pipe and smoke it. So he's backstage ready to talk to us. How you doing, Kane? Who do you support?
I support Newcastle, bud.
Oh, yes, we spoke before.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
What do you make of this situation? Because it does feel like they've got you by the short and curlies here, mate.
I have to disagree. I think it's the opposite.
Okay.
And this is how I see it. I mean, we've just had the bid rejected from Frankfurt for Ekatike, which is fine. They seem to want to put a bidding war, get a bidding war going, which is their right to do. And I don't think Newcastle will sell unless there is a replacement for Isak this year. So if we don't get Ekatike, I can see us turning around and saying, no. I mean, Liverpool are doing what they should have done, by the way, which is approaching for Isak. What I will say is, if the reports are true in saying that 120 million is the offer, I don't think that's going to do it. It'll be quite a substantial bit more than that. I still think it will be substantially more than that, because I disagree that he's going to kick up a stink. I think would he want the move? Yeah, probably. I would say he was, but he's not doing what Gyökeres is doing. He's at the training ground. He's over in Austria with the lads training. So I don't see any potential outburst already from that side of things. And I think Liverpool are trying to Newcastle forced Liverpool's hand by opening the talks with Ekatike, which, as you correctly said, is one of Liverpool's top 2 targets, and forced Liverpool's hands. So now Liverpool have acted in kind and said, okay, well, if you want Ekatike, then we're coming for Isak. But and that might work. That by all means, there is a realistic chance in which Newcastle end up with Ekatike, which would be a great deal, and Liverpool end up with Isak, which will be great for them as well. But I also see as much chance of that happening as a world in which Newcastle acquire Ekitike first, because we're probably going to turn around to Liverpool and say we're not going to let him go until we get Ekitike. And we could even turn around and go, okay, we've got Ekitike, and no, we're not going to sell Isak because he has 3 years on his deal. Now you say the two can't play in the same team. That's for Eddie Howe to figure out if that is the case. That still doesn't mean that Newcastle as a business aren't going to sell their asset, because a lot of people are saying, oh, well, Isak is not a pivotal figure in Newcastle's quest to win the title. And Newcastle are only a few years away from winning the title. But I imagine selling your top striker to a rival in a title race, whether we're in a title race or not, rival is not a really debate, really. But
I get that.
But you know what I mean. It puts the brakes on that.
So where I can see your point is, if you are able to get Ekitike over the line before Liverpool and Liverpool can't stop it, then you are in a powerful position, because they don't have their current leverage is, well, if we don't get Isak, we'll get Ekitike. And I suppose it depends on what Ekitike does here, because if Ekitike sends out a signal which is, well, I'm not going to sign a contract with Newcastle because Liverpool are looking at me, I think that's where it becomes a little bit precarious. But you're right. If Ekitike picked up the phone today and says, listen, Liverpool, thanks, but no thanks, I want to be a Newcastle player, this is all pie in the sky. You are right.
Yeah. But again, to what your point now is, oh, well, Liverpool just go for Ekitike. Oh, no, we end up with Isak. Like, come on, guys.
Oh yeah, you're not in a bad situation. You're not. Yeah. You're not in a.
This is my point. This is why Newcastle, I feel, you say Liverpool have us by the shirt and curlies. I think it's the opposite. I think at the end of the day, we either end up with Ekitike and Isak. We end up they go for Ekitike, then we keep Isak, which is, you know.
Where I'm comparing it to, though, about the short and curlies is the narrative of what I was seeing yesterday, which is we're going to have 2 top class strikers. This unless Ekitike says no to Liverpool, you're only going to end up with 1, which still means Liverpool are going to stop you from improving your squad in that way, if that makes sense. That feels to me relatively likely. But I still think, listen, I said it all along, I don't think you guys allowing Isak to go for big money derails your not even rebuild, but derails this project of getting to the top. It was always set as about a 10-year project to get there. I actually think you could do with the money, personally, and I think you can improve your squad further. And it's why I don't think Newcastle fans should be, if you end up with Ekitike, but also getting 150 million for Isak, and you go out and buy a top-class goalkeeper, a really good central defender, I don't sort of look at that as being I personally don't look at that and go, oh, that's a horrendous window because you lost Isak, if that makes sense. Because in 4 or 5 years, you're going to lose him anyway, right? Because players get old. So I don't think it's not ideal, because he's such a good striker. But I've always felt that your owners are not bad owners, and they understand sometimes. They look at a situation and say, look, it's a very small step backwards to potentially move forward quicker. So I don't think it's the end of the world, personally.
Me neither. I mean, like I said, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it wouldn't be great. It wouldn't feel good. But that is what it is. I think Isak stays probably 1 more year, so us going for Ekitike makes sense. And like I said, and again, the realistic chance of us having both Isak and Ekitike, if only for 1 year, and because we are going to need to rotate. Are we there going to play? Because I think what fans fail to realize is that there are a lot of games. We're in 4 competitions, like top level competitions next year, and so the idea of going in there that we're just going to play the same 11 every week is ridiculous. So it's only natural that we would get as much as we like. The dream is to get your bench as strong as your first 11. So with Newcastle going out and getting Ekitike to strengthen, not necessarily just strengthen the bench, but just be a full-on rotation option. Because again, one thing that is slandered at Isak is his injury record. So again, people are saying, well, Isak gets injured a lot. Newcastle are having to get a top-level backup / rotation option, and all of a sudden that's weird, and that shouldn't be allowed. That's not going to work. I think it's a bit of a fallacy. And again, I think money-wise, I don't think we need the money. PSR is not an issue for us. We've been told by Eddie Howe himself, who has always been super conservative when it comes to transfers. He said we will go big this year, and we will do what we need to do. And I pick up what was it K-Mac who said that Eddie Howe said that he couldn't make guarantees on any player leaving. Well, that's just called being a manager in 2025. Like, just because he said, I mean, because he's not going to say, oh, this person is definitely not going to go, and then them get sold, and then he looks like an idiot. So he's never going to say that and commit 100% to those things. Now, I think what's lacking is a lot of the we hear a lot of, well, these are the reasons he should leave leave to go to Liverpool. I don't think there's enough said about why he shouldn't go to Liverpool this year, because I think the Liverpool squad, if you look at the contract situation, obviously they've got Kanate, who's out of contract this year, Diaz, who wants to leave. You've then got Nunez, who is trying to leave. Well, not necessarily trying to leave, but they're trying to get rid of Nunez. And then you look at 2027, I think half of their team are out in the last year of the contract. So I think, you know, Liverpool's project is not looking as strong as people think. Now, they could obviously spend money and fix that, but
I hear you.